He has these great tattvas and energies that he exuberates, and he has fundamentally changed me as a person. The way I view the world has been changed because of him. And I love myself a little bit more thanks to him. Please welcome Dr. Rao. Prabhakarji, all yours.
Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. Thank you so much, Supriya. Always a pleasure to interact back with you. And welcome, everybody. I mean, it is so nice, It's been a long time since we met last. And that was a heavy episode we had. Sutra 3 was like, pretty heavy. And, but I think a lot of you gained a lot of insights. Um, Hello, Jyotsna. As usual, you're always there. Uh, and Sudha and all the Alois is here as well. So, I mean, very consistent. Yes. So lovely having all of you here. And today we are going to go to the fourth sutra. Luckily, the fourth sutra is not so difficult to understand as the third one. Third one was loaded because it required a lot of understanding to unravel what Rishi Kapila was commentating. The commentary of Rishi Kapila, it took a lot of effort to unravel it, and I hope I did well in that. So, without any more delay, we will get our nightingale. I really look forward every month. I look forward to hearing Leela. And I think today, what I would request Leela to do, I hope I don't pounce this on her, if she can chant all the four after the Purna Mantra. Yeah, Leela, the floor is all yours, and let's get you to do your magic for us. You can unmute, Leela.
I'd like to start first by Namaskaram to Gurudev and to your pious feet, Prabhakarji. Chant the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dukkhatrayabhighātāt jignāsāt tadapaghatake hetau drishte sa parthachen naikantatyantato bhavat drishtavadanushravikah sahya vishuddhikshayatishayayuktah tadviparitah shreyan vyaktavyaktajña vijñānāt mūla prakritira vikritir mahadadyah prakriti vikritayah sapta shodashakastu vikaro na prakritir na vikritif purushah dṛṣṭamanumānamāptavacanaṃ ca sarvapramāṇasiddhatvāt trividhaṃ pramāṇamiṣṭaṃ prameyasiddhiḥ pramāṇāddhi.
Thank you so much, Leela. That is just so beautiful to hear it all together. Once more, the fourth sutra.
dṛṣṭamanumānamāptavacanaṃ ca sarvapramāṇasiddhatvāt trividhaṃ pramāṇamiṣṭaṃ prameyasiddhiḥ pramāṇāddhi.
Thank you so much, Leela. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. So, like I said, today's session will be quite light. It will not be as taxing and deep as the previous one, but it sets the base. It is setting the base for what Rishi Kapila is going to do for the next 65 sutras, setting the base. Yeah, so it's very beautiful. So before we actually go on to the fourth sutra per se, I will address couple of questions which have come up, and through that we will gain some insights, of course, and also, as usual, we will do a recap, a little bit of a quick recap, so that we are all little bit up to date on what we are discussing. Yeah. So one of the good questions that came up was, when we were discussing the third sutra, why was there a number 8 which came by 2 cubed? That means 2 into 2 into 2. But in the next doubling, you said it is only 16. So to get 8, you cubed it. But then the next one, instead of cubing it, why did you multiply it? Was a question which came. Actually, Supriya and me have already recorded the episode on the magic number 6 and the magic number 6, magic number 8 and magic number 16. But I have not still done the full editing. We managed to edit only the first one on Mula Prakriti, which a lot of you have seen, and you've given your feedback. That's amazing. I got a lot of DM personal messages on how much you enjoyed this particular podcast, the second podcast that we have. So podcasts are going to be an integral part of what we are doing, and I urge every one of you to reach out to me and make a podcast. What happens when you make a podcast is that your own understanding becomes very deep. I'm sure Hari will agree with me. I'm so sure Supriya will agree with me. And each one of you, I know Dr. Shweta will be doing one after she finishes her exams for the Ayurveda Master PhD that she's doing. But I would like every one of you to reach out. Yeah. Because honestly, with the grace of the Master, we've cracked this art of making podcasts. So it is very easy. Actually, don't even think, it's very easy. It's actually very easy to do a podcast because we've cracked the formula on how to do it. Yeah. So any one of you take any one word or one phrase in what we have discussed, reach out to me and I will make sure that a lovely podcast comes out of it. So that is one thing I will leave you with that. But again, coming back to this very interesting question. So in this question, what we had was that you said the secret of the universe is actually lies in the doubling. Yeah. And you said that in the first doubling, the increment is 7. Yeah, the increment is 7. And how did we get to that 7? We said if we take a cube which is having all sides 1, 1, 1, 1, the doubling will be either the volume has to double or the side length has to double. Volume has to double, we know it didn't lead to anything. It didn't lead to any doubling because it was too small. But when the side became, instead of 1 to 2, then 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, we got 8. Therefore, the doubling, that was perfect, right? So what people asked the question was that if we did that the first time to get the Prakriti Vikriti, then to the next doubling, why it became only 16? Why did it become only 16? It should have become 8 times 8 times 8. Right? Why did it not happen? It should have become 256, right? Why did it not happen? That was a question which came, which I think is a very legitimate question. So we have to understand this. in the axiomatic understanding of Rishi Kapila, the fundamental unit is an integer. It is a 1. So 1 can become 2, can become 3, can become 4, etc. Now, when we are talking about volume, when 1 becomes 8, that 8 is an expression of the potential. You see, it is like claps, simultaneous claps, which you can't see them. They are still not yet manifest. Yeah. So what is happening here? We said there is static potential and there is kinetic potential. And we said in our very first episode, whenever there is static potential, what do? We multiply. When there is kinetic potential, when there is kinetic potential, we add. That's basically what we had said, right? So what we are understanding here is that the moment 1 becomes 8, that 8 for the next round of doubling becomes the fundamental unit. So if you double the 8, it will become 64. Now, what is the increment? 8 to 64 increment is 7. You understand what I'm saying? Every time the doubling, now even if you take 64, it will become 256. No, not 256. 64, I mean, you can do that. You can do the math of that. But the increment will be 7 times. So 1 was the volumetric increase. So the number 7 refers to the volumetric increase. Volumetric increase. That means it just expands. The second one is actually, now let us say you have, actually like I said, it is the propagation of a 3-dimensional wave function. That's how creation is happening. Waves are not in 1 or 2 dimensions. They are in 3 dimensions. So the 3-dimensional increase is 2 into 2 into 2. Right? But the next one actually is, you have got 3 axes, X, Y, and Z. In each of these axes, if there is a doubling, then what happens? Then it is the kinetic potential where we add it up. So this is how we do. In simultaneous claps, we have to multiply. In the sequential claps, we add them. If we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 claps, it's 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 5 claps. If we are doing for static potential, that is simultaneous clap, you hear 1 clap, but there are 5 claps. So it is 1 into 1 into 1 into 1 into 1. You may hear only 1, but in it is embedded 5 claps. So when you take only 1 axis or 2 axes, that is in that XYZ, the wave can double in any one axis now. It can double in X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis. It can do all 3 also, in which case it just becomes the doubling. But suppose 1 axis or 2 axis, if it increases, doubles, there is only addition. So it becomes 8 plus 8, that is 16. So in fact, in that podcast which me and Supriya have done on the magic number of 8 and 16, we have unearthed some tremendous rahasyas. I won't take them up today because we are going to put this podcast out. Maybe next week we will put both these podcasts out. So you will be able to explore into a very, very mysterious world of why this 7 and why the 16? Like I told you, Ishvara Krishna lost the plot there. He could not understand why this 7, why this 16. And then he gave some explanation based on our, trigunas, or, all these things, our jnanendriyas and karmendriyas and all that. Some storyboarding was done, but somewhere he lost the plot. And Rishi Kapila, we saw how he took that and went deep into it and unearthed that beautiful knowledge of taking that Mula Prakriti, from there the Prakriti, Avikriti, and then the Vikaro transformations, where emanation happens, and for the first time you see creation. And then because all these off-phase units tend to come back to lower and lower units, we understood how our master, why we all gravitate towards our master, because he is there with the lowest level, lowest number of units. There is not much vikaro going on there. It's all in that Mula Prakriti Purusha state, right? So that is why Gurutvakarshan or gravity is nothing but the vikaro slowly dampening and moving towards the Purusha. Our love and our attraction to our master Pujya Gurudev is that. It is ours. We are all flapping in this Maya. And then we see this Purusha there, so still. And then we all gravitate towards him. This is Gurutvakarshan. This is gravity. This is not only gravity in our relationship with our Guru, it is also gravity in physics. Because all this chaotic vibrations which we call creation, whatever we see in this world, your laptop, this light, my glasses and whatever, my skin and everything, it is actually a product of chaos. And those who have done Durga Mandala Vatika know what I am talking about. The queen of chaos. Yeah. So this chaos, what we call reality, is nothing but the vikaro. It is that, I made you those animations where everything is going like, it is going like haywire, the Maya. So that this Maya is actually the chaotic manifestation of the Mula Prakriti. Or the Prakriti, Avikriti, the manifestation of that is actually the chaotic form. When we go back to stillness, then we get back to the Purusha. And that is what happens in our meditation. Because when we go through our cyclic, there are some beautiful rahasyas in the podcast, which you will hear very soon, that Supriya and me explored. Very, very interesting. So when we do all these rhythmic breathings and all these things, what Gurudev is subliminally doing is he's slowly dampening that vikaro in your mind, and then he is putting you in a state where clarity emerges. Clarity emerges. Similarly, if we want to really understand what is knowledge, if we want to get knowledge, if once we resonate with the Akashic records, we just download the knowledge. There is no need for us to read up, give exams and all that. I know Dr. Shweta, she's been wanting the Siddhi ever since she started mentoring with me. She says, please tell me how to download. Yes, it will come. It will come. But these are the kind of Siddhis that our master wants to give us. Question is, are we ready to take them? That is the question. From his side, there is no hesitation. Question is whether the vessel is good enough to receive, because we are all pots only, But he is talking about the space. Yeah. So these are very, very interesting concepts. So just to recap very quickly, what did we start with? We started with Dukkhatraya. And even now I get lot of people confusing the emotional aspect of Dukkhatraya and Rishi Kapila's interpretation. So many people are trying to find the correlation between Rishi Kapila's three types of stresses, which are physical and mathematical, with the emotions that they are having while dealing with Maya. My humble submission is, don't do this. Ishvara Krishna, if you want to follow, then follow Ishvara Krishna. Because he is talking about the misery. He is talking about the misery of this world. Rishi Kapila has got no connection with misery because he is already in that truth. When he is expressing Dukkhatraya, he is expressing it from that Akashic record download where he knows what this triple stress is. He already knows what this triple stress is. He is not worried about his emotions and how the pain is happening here because of this type of dukkha, that type of dukkha. He is no pain. He is taking us straight with the sword of knowledge. He says, slash all this muck around you and I will take you straight to the heart. If you follow me in 68 sutras, I will remove the Dukkhatraya. When he says, I will remove the Dukkhatraya, he says, I will let you experience the truth of creation. That is the only point of living. The point of living is for us to know the truth. Why is all this happening? Once you know why, then you know that the game is finished. Yeah. So with that intention, Rishi Kapila, Ishvara Krishna is a comfort. It is like hot chocolate. You're very tired at night. Somebody gives you hot chocolate. This is very nice. You feel good because somebody is relating to your misery and listing out three kinds of misery. One misery caused by yourself, one misery caused by others, then third misery caused by unforeseen events, act of God. And then he is saying, don't worry, you be with me, and in 68 sutras, I will remove all this misery from you. So people are very happy. But fact of the matter is, from Ishvara Krishna's time to now, that misery is not gone from this planet. It is still there. So there is something fundamentally wrong with what he had commentated. But the fact is that he commentated for a time. That time required that knowledge. It required somebody to first hug you and say, I understand, I get you, and let me talk to you about misery. And everybody is very happy. It's like hot chocolate. Yeah. Very nice. But doesn't really solve the crux of the problem. That night you might sleep. Next morning you'll still wake up to the same reality that was causing you problems. So hot chocolate is good for that period. It is good. Similarly, so we talked about that Dukkhatraya, and Rishi Kapila actually broke it down. He said the internal stresses, the very fact that manifestation creation happens is a proof that the stresses existed. And then he goes and describes all those things. So that was the first sutra. Then in the second sutra, what did he take up? He took up, will somebody be able to tell me? I want to make this a little more interactive. Will somebody be able to tell me? I mean, you can unmute, hello, participant. Yeah, anybody can unmute. So can somebody tell me what happened in Sutra 2? Anybody? Is anybody having a problem unmuting? Now we have to make this a little interactive because this knowledge is deep. It's very dense knowledge. Yeah. So we need to make it interactive so that, people can. Anybody having a problem unmuting? You can put it on.
Bhapaji.
Yeah.
Rani.
All right. So somebody tell me what happens in Sutra 2.
As far as I remember, he says that our organs of perception are not capable. So we need to see alternative methods.
Correct. So this is what it is. So what is happening here? the resolution, the contamination of the information. He talks about that. And basically what comes up, thank you for that, Rani. He talks about whatever you do, the fact of the matter is our sense, the very act of observing. This is in podcast 1 with Hari, which I did. The very act of trying to observe something itself is flawed, because there can be distortion, there can be attenuation, there can be loss of information, contamination of information, and there will be the loss of resolution. So you will never get, by trying to look and peer into something, you will never get the truth. Therefore, Rishi Kapila says that if you want the truth, you have to use axiomatic knowledge. So that is the second. In the third sutra, he gives us a clue to what is Mula Prakriti, Prakriti, Avikriti, and Vikaro. And he talks about this Saptaha and Shodadasha. So 7 and 16 he talks about. So up to there we have covered, right? So now we will actually get on to the one on the, yeah. So now we go to 5. Yeah. So we are talking about the 5th episode, which is actually our 4th sutra. Leela, can I have you chant the 4th sutra again?
दृष्टमनुमानमाप्तवचनं च सर्वप्रमाणसिद्धत्वात् त्रिविधं प्रमाणमिष्टं prameyasiddhiḥ pramāṇāddhi.
Thank you. Beautiful. So, like we do every time, we do Ishvara Krishna and then we do the Rishi Kapila. Now, Ishvara Krishna, hot chocolate. Yeah. So, let us do that one. Basically, let us try to understand what these Sanskrit terms mean. Dṛṣṭam. Dṛṣṭam means drishti. What is drishti? Drishti is something that you perceive. It is perception, not necessarily seeing. Perception can be through your ear. Perception can be through taste, through smell. Dṛṣṭam essentially means perception. Anumanam. Anumanam is interpreting or inferring something. So, you see something or you hear something, that means your senses cognize or perceive something. At the moment that happens, you make some inference. That means कुछ उसका मतलब निकालने का, कुछ देखा फिर उसका मतलब निकालने का. So this दृष्टम अनुमानम च is just saying and. Aptavacanaṃ. So what is this? In terms of Ishvara Krishna, he talks about statement of trustworthy persons. Statement of trustworthy persons. I will come back to this. Yeah. Then sarvapramāṇasiddhatvāt. Because by these 3, that is perception, inference, and statement of trustworthy people, all other proofs are established. So here, Ishvara Krishna is giving you some fundamental tools to negotiate your dukkha traya. So what he says, that through perception, through inference, and believing the statement of trustworthy persons, all other proofs are established. So these are the 3 important things. Trividhaṃ, threefold pramanam. Pramāṇa is proof. Yeah. So trividhaṃ pramāṇamiṣṭaṃ. So ishtam is intended. prameyasiddhiḥ, pramāṇāddhi. So what he is saying here is the threefold proof. That means the right cognition, intended, establishment of things to be proved, it is done by cognition alone. So basically what he is saying is the right cognition is based on this threefold. Which are the threefold? Perception, inference, and statement of trustworthy persons. Through this, through the means of cognition alone, establishment of things to be proved. That means you can prove something only through these threefold pramanas. Which are the threefold pramanas? Perception, inference, and statement of trustworthy. So it is very important now. Here is where our Ishvara Krishna, again, he is being politically correct. Actually, that night, when you are so tired, you needed a kashayam. Something that will really go inside and stir you and make you all right. Instead, you get hot chocolate. This is hot chocolate. Basically, what he is saying, he wants to be politically correct. The first two are correct. Which are the first two? He says perception and then inference. Here, actually, Rishi Kapila and Ishvara Krishna both are parallel. They are congruent. Both are saying the same thing. But in the third point, he doesn't want to be saying something that can be interpreted differently. He wants to tell people what they want to hear. So when he says statement of trustworthy individuals, here this is hot chocolate. Because basically what he is saying, you listen to the Pandits of the Vedas. He does not want to give too much of leeway, because Ishvara Krishna belongs to a society where the Vedic Pandits had become very arrogant. And it was like they can excommunicate you if you question them. So Ishvara Krishna is taking Sankhya Sutras and giving it as Sankhya Karika. He knows, actually Ishvara Krishna in his heart knows how powerful this knowledge is. But he is not able to come out and challenge these Pandits. See, the Veda, the knowledge of the Veda is correct. But the interpretation of the Pandits and the way they perverted that Vedic knowledge, forcing you to make sacrifices, making you feel guilty, putting dukkhatraya on you, and then saying, now you're miserable, now we will teach you a way out of misery, do that homa, do this homa, kill this animal, kill that man or that baby or whatever, maybe a virgin also. All this nonsense is going on. Ishvara Krishna could have challenged it, but he knows if he challenges it, even the few people who might actually get this knowledge, they won't get the knowledge. Because Ishvara Krishna itself will be sacrificed. He won't have much chance to, make a commentary and get people to listen to it. So Ishvara Krishna played it politically correct. So he's giving knowledge, but at the same time, he is keeping the people in power, the powers that be. He is not upsetting them too much. Because at that time, either you listen to the Pandit, the Vedic Pandit, or you are like finished, you are damned. That was the dark society of our times of Ishvara Krishna. That is why Gautama Buddha came. He was one person who took on all these guys. He said, all that you're saying, nothing. I will tell you what is really the truth. And he went about enlightening people left, right, and center. Gautama Buddha, he could just take one flower, he'll just twist this flower like this, and then lakhs of people will get enlightened. That was his power. So he took the establishment on, and then that is why Buddhism started spreading like wildfire. Everywhere Buddhism spread. And that is when Shankaracharya came back and he realized, oh my God, if this goes on, then all the knowledge of the Vedas will go completely forgotten and wasted. And therefore, he again took the challenge and started to bring back the Advaitya, where all these rituals and homas and my God is superior to your God and all this, he put it, underplayed it, and he started something where people really started to go after the real truth. So he was the course correction. And today also, including our own Pujya Gurudev, we are in that parampara. We follow that parampara where we put back the pursuit of knowledge on its course. So you and me are doing exactly the same thing. We are now trying to go to the real core truth. All right. So this is where I feel that slightly Ishvara Krishna he could have given Kashayam at that, but Kashayam is very difficult. People might take a little, spit it out and throw it away. And then they will get nothing. They will neither get Kashayam nor they will get nothing. So instead of that, Ishvara Krishna said, at least take hot chocolate. You'll like it. Today you'll go to sleep. Tomorrow I will deal with you. So I mean, he had to play by the rules. Yeah. But it is important for us to understand this. Yeah. That Ishvara Krishna, in all fairness, he was playing to the gallery of that time. Rishi Kapila, 34,700 years ago, he couldn't care a damn. He is straight into the core knowledge, core truth. Yeah. So, continuing with this particular thing, we then go to, so basically what he is saying is that perception and inference and valid testimony are the means. By these, all other means of right cognition, that is pramana, the proof, they are established as they are included in the above three. Because in those days, there were also this big talk about there are many kinds of pramanas. Yeah, I will come to that also. So proof is intended to be of three kinds, and it is through proofs that the provable are established. Very nicely put. So he says, by perception, by interference, by listening to the Pandits of the Vedas, so that he's keeping them also happy. Listening to them, there are only three pramanas. And he is very clear. He says there is only three pramanas because all other pramanas, all other proofs are included in the three fundamental proofs. What are the three fundamentals? It is perception and inference and the knowledge of the higher, the intellectual, the knowledge of, learned people, which basically is saying the Pandits. Okay. So he says, through this only, all other proofs are established. So he is laying a foundation how to deal with your dukkhatraya. So how to remove misery? First, understand what is the process. So I will teach you what is perception. I will teach you what is inference. And I will teach you what is the reliable people, the authority people, the people who really know the stuff. Their three things we will take, and through that in the next 65 sutras, 4 sutras, I will dispel your problems. This is what Ishvara Krishna has said. Okay. So let us continue this journey. Now what he is happening is that, now let us see, there are a few things here. What is pramana or proof? Yeah. So pramana or proof means the cognition, the understanding of how to define a term. It can be anything. A term can be like, for example, heat. Suppose we have to understand what is heat. There has to be a proof, no? What is heat? There has to be water. If we say heat means hot, no, heat can be cold also, right? So you have to explain and define something. So heat can be defined as what? It can be defined as, let us say, the difference of temperature between it and its surroundings. Okay, the difference can be negative, the difference can be positive, anything, but it is something to do with the difference of temperature. Then we can go a little deeper. We can say, okay, what does temperature means? Temperature means the energy, the kinetic energy inside that particular term, like heat. That is how fast the molecules or atoms are moving in that. That gives the proof of the heat in that. Then you can go further. It is not just energy. It could be the frequency difference between that and the surroundings. Like that, you can keep on going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you can get the truth. You can go to the truth of that. Like that, everything if we do, we can go to the truth of creation also, is what Ishvara Krishna is saying. So pramana is that by which things are rightly cognized. So here there is again some hot chocolate coming in, because he is saying what is rightly cognized. He is not defining that, because he is trying to say something here, and he says, and this is a modification of the mind, the chitta vritti, in relation to an object which is free from such defects as ambiguity, perversion, and non-apprehension. Right cognition is the result brought by this instrument in the form of apprehension by a human agent, and its means is pramana. By this definition, pramana does not apply to all other means which lead to doubt, wrong apprehension, and recollection. Again, Ishvara Krishna chocolate, because he is saying human agent. Rishi Kapila never brings humans into the picture. He is straight axiomatic logic, and 1 + 1 is 2, 1 into 1 is 1. Like that, he will teach you how to discover truth of creation. But here, the Ishvara Krishna is saying the human agent, because at that time, if you say you don't need a human agent, I will give you the truth. I will take you to truth. You don't need anybody else. If Ishvara Krishna said that, Ishvara Krishna will be removed. Ishvara Krishna will not have a standing. He will immediately be packed and sent off. So he had to sugarcoat it. So he said by human agent. The human agent means the people, the pandits, those arrogant pandits of Vedas, they felt happy. Okay, Ishvara Krishna is also acknowledging that without us, it cannot happen. Without the human agent, it cannot happen. So they are very happy. They are very happy. Ishvara Krishna is saving it for another day, because he is saying, okay, today I can't challenge these fellows. Today you come to this path. By the time I finish, hopefully I will take it. Yeah. Yukti is Anant Kumar. Yukti is something else. Yeah. Yukti is a subtle understanding, and therefore the way you interact in a situation. Okay. Say suppose you have a problem with a member of your family. Okay. Any situation, if you use yukti, that means you have to, at this particular point, make sure that the other person is sensitively handled. So you can say Ishvara Krishna is using yukti. He is not directly pushing the truth down your throat. He is using yukti where he can give you the truth but also keep the establishment happy. So it is something like that, Right now, he doesn't know exactly where to play, but he knows that if he upsets the establishment, then he cannot be there to teach you the truth. Ishvara Krishna knows the truth, but he cannot directly teach you. because the establishment will get upset. So he is using yukti. You can say Ishvara Krishna is using yukti here, because he is trying to keep both balanced, so that somewhere down the line, where the establishment is slightly sleeping, he will be able to slip the truth in. That may be his intention. Yeah. So we will give him that benefit of doubt. Yeah. So that happens. So here again, Ishvara Krishna goes into the modification of the mind in relation to an object. So again, what he is saying, he is more concerned about your internal universe. Okay. He says that I will remove the dukkhatraya by giving you the truth of the creation of your internal universe. Rishi Kapila has got nothing to do with the internal universe. He is straight universe creation itself, period, of which your internal universe is a part of. So Rishi Kapila is on that big, he is in that 30,000 feet vision. Ishvara Krishna is doing it at a little more ground level. So here he is saying that when the mind interprets something, then there can be distortion, there can be many, that is loss in translation. I use this phrase, loss in translation. Actually, something is there, but you have seen it also, but your mind will interpret what it is. And therefore, you have lost the original. You're only getting what the mind is interpreting. Therefore, Ishvara Krishna says, when I teach you how then to control that mind, so that there is no loss in translation, you will see the truth. Porcha, he's struggling. We have to root for him, because he's actually struggling there. Yeah. So here he goes on. He says, so there is a threefold valid knowledge. So what are the valid knowledge? Threefold. One is perception, one is interference, and one is valid testimony. Okay. So this valid testimony, again, he is hinting, so that the person, the establishment, if they listen to his commentary, they will say, he is referring to us. We are the valid testimony. But again, for the people, he is giving an option where they can question what is that valid testimony. Now, there is a lot of thing about pramanas. I told you about, there are many pramanas. So according to Jaimini, who is another rishi, in those days he was very popular. Jaimini was very popular. He says that there are 6 types of pramanas: presumption, probability, negation, imagination, tradition, and analogy. These are the 6 kinds of proofs. And even in presumption, there can be presumption of something that is seen, something that is heard. In negation, it can be negation by antecedent. That means something happened before, therefore it cannot be this. It can be mutual, because something happened, this is this. Total, that means it cannot happen at all. Then you negate the whole thing. And consequent, because this has happened, the result of this, the consequence of this cannot be this. Like that, we can have many types of proofs. But what Ishvara Krishna is saying here is that, forget about what Jaimini is saying. Ultimately, in all this, in his commentary, he mentions this. Sarvapramāṇasiddhatvāt, he says. Sarvapramāṇasiddhatvāt. That means all other pramanas are included in this 3, that is the trividhaṃ pramāṇamiṣṭaṃ. Okay. So he is very clearly saying that, stick to me. I will tell you, don't get confused by 6 types of pramanas and some pramanas and all that. Stick to me, there are only 3. What is it? It is perception, inference, and the word of the right individual, the right human agent. Okay. So fair enough. We will take it at that. Then what happens now? Now we go to the interesting part. the interesting part now is we come to Rishi Kapila. So when we come to Rishi Kapila, it is very simple. He says, forget about all this. The only difference that you will see in this Rishi Kapila and our Ishvara Krishna is where Aptavacanam, he says, is right individual knowledge, the right, that is the Pandit's knowledge. Our Ishvara Krishna says that it is axiomatic principle. So basically what he is saying is that if you use perception, inference and axiomatic knowledge, then you will get the proof. That is the only proof that is relevant. That is what our Rishi Kapila says. So our Rishi Kapila has nothing to do with the Vedic Pandits and all that. Okay. So he says that Siddhi or conclusive holistic proof is arrived by a process of logical, theoretical analysis of informations from observation, inferences, and axiomatic principles. When all these three things come together, we get a conclusive axiomatic proof, theorem. Okay. So he is very, very clear. He says that anything else is a hypothetical statement. If you use perception, inference, and axiomatic knowledge. So this is actually what he is doing is, now he is explaining why he said about Mula Prakriti, what he said about Avikriti, Prakriti, Vikaro, and then the Purusha, what he meant by all that, why it showed us that, because in this sutra, he wants to lay between the fourth and the fifth sutra, just the fundamentals will be laid. Now he is actually saying, what is that axiomatic process? What is that axiomatic process? So, first is Siddhi. What is Siddhi? He defines also what is Siddhi. Okay. So Siddhi is again a very beautiful thing. Like, for example, many people, when I talk to them or when I'm doing a mentorship for them, I will be saying something which will be spot on because they get it like this, because that's what is the correct thing. But did it come from my intelligence? No. At that moment, I am only a channel to the Siddhi that the master has given, where I just channel a certain statement. That knowledge which I am telling is not mine. It is just downloading. But for the other person, it looks like, oh my God, this guy is so spot on. But that happens only at that point. At that time, it happens like that. Yeah. Even I won't know what I am going to do with that person today. But when I start to speak, it is just downloading, because I am not saying anything that is mine or filtered through my experience or my mind or anything like that. I just say it. Something comes and I will say. Even after that, I will think about it and I'll say, yeah, that made a lot of sense. So what he is talking about is that Siddhi. It is this Siddhi that I want all of you to get after 68 sutras. That ability to channel truth without getting filtered. That is a Siddhi. Like Kala Bhairava. Time Siddhi. It is Siddhi, right? Similarly, proof, that is Pramāṇa, is a Siddhi. When somebody asks a question or somebody has a confusion and they come to me, I will just tell them. And they will get it, because, oh my God, it is what you're saying is actually so correct, sir. Why didn't I see it before? They will say, it's not my knowledge. It is not my intelligence or my anything. It is just that at that particular point, I just download what is there, and it will be actually what is appropriate for that particular situation. So here he talks about that pramāṇa. This is very, very important. Yeah. All of us, ultimately, we must go there. So sequentially analyzing information. So where do we find sequentially analyzing information? So from the very first sutra, Dukkhatraya, That means what he said was the very fact that creation happens, it has to happen from nothing. Because it is nothing, that means somewhere these three stresses, triple stresses were already embedded there, but they were not emanating anything. And then he goes on to give the entire mathematics of why it was not emanating, why we could not see it. So like that sequential way of logic, of using logic, sequential logic, that is an important thing, says Rishi Kapila. And then the next one, he says, putting all previous outputs together in simultaneous mode. Okay. So the last episode, if you see, what did I do? I took all the knowledge in the previous three sutras and I presented to you with all the, you remember all those simultaneous way, those animations and the clock and everything. I put all that together so that at one shot, all that knowledge is given. Whatever was there in the three sutras, that all the three sutras come together. So Rishi Kapila says the second principle for pursuing truth is to take all the outputs and put it into a simultaneous mode. And the third one is intellectually experiencing the foregoing results and deriving a set of unified logic that can be used as the container or nested nugget for including more complex related conclusions. So this nesting we did. How did we do the nesting? We took one simple oscillation, took the output of that, put it into a more complex oscillation. So Moola Prakriti. From Moola Prakriti's output, he takes to Prakriti Avikriti. From there, he takes to Vikaro. So each theorem, the output of each theorem becomes the starting point for the next theorem. Rishi Kapila in this sutra is just saying, this is how I will teach you to get to the root of everything. How beautiful, no? How beautiful. He is saying, what are the things? First is sequential logic. Second, taking all that information and putting it into a simultaneous form. Third, to take it and nest it like a fractal. Exactly, Rani. You take the output of one, nest it, and you go to the next. Take the output, nest it, and go to the next. That's how we get the number 8, number 16, all those. We will go to 64 also. So that is how Rishi Kapila is looking at it. And then now the last thing that we do in every thing is we look at the Rishi Kapila's and Ishvara Krishna's interpretation. So if you look at this and this, the first one is Rishi Kapila's and the second one is Ishvara Krishna's. So if you see here, this is pure logic. He talks about axiomatic principle, the threefold rationale, which is how does the Siddhi logic come? It comes through simultaneous logic, collective logic, and the nesting of outputs in each iteration. This is Kashayam. This is the very hard to digest Kashayam. Or not to digest. It's very hard to drink Kashayam. What is this one, Ishvara Krishna? This is hot chocolate. Because here he is being politically correct. So he says, you just be with me. I will get you there eventually. But right now I have to make these guys also happy. So we will play it by the ear is what this guy is saying. So this is the fourth sutra. Fourth sutra is just laying. The next sutra is also like this. It is just going to lay the axiomatic principles by which truth will be revealed to us. So this is what the fourth sutra is all about. Yeah. And so beautiful because here Rishi Kapila doesn't have to worry about Vedas, all these Pandits, no, nothing. He talks about just three. What is his threefold proof theorem? His threefold proof is sequential logic, then collecting everything and making a simultaneous output, And then third is nesting each output as a starting point to get the next out. Beautifully, he summarizes this. Kala Bhairava is with us again, 9:30 on the dot. So we are all completed. And please go through. We still have time this and the next one. So it is not so heavy. So please go through the earlier episodes. Supriya and me will be putting out 2 more episodes, podcasts on the numbers 8 and number 16. So please, you watch them. So all this will be happening. So this has been a great session. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you all in the next Sankhya Sutra session. Jai Gurudev.